Alright YouTube, so we're here to talk about some of the recent stuff that's happened, some of the tragedies, and the video is going to be political in nature given the subject matter, but we're not here to talk politics. I don't give a shit about your thoughts on Trump, whether you like him or hate him. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this subject. And what we're here to talk about today is video games again are being blamed for mass shootings. There was two shootings in less than 24 hours, Dayton, Ohio, El Paso, Texas. I think 30 people died. And in a speech, Trump actually outright blames video games.
Second, we must stop the glorification of violence in our society. This includes the gruesome and grisly video games that are now commonplace. It is too easy today for troubled youth to surround themselves with a culture that celebrates violence. We must stop or substantially reduce this, and it has to begin immediately.
I don't know that I've ever talked about this subject on my channel, but after seeing this today, I wanted to talk about it. This is one of the dumbest fucking arguments I've ever heard. They're just looking for something to blame. They don't know how to... There's no way to resolve mass shootings, right? You just can't possibly do it. Even with, like, really strict gun control, you could still get a gun, go out in public, and kill a bunch of people if you wanted to. There's no way to stop it. They're just looking for something to blame because they don't have any answers. It's a battle they've been fighting since like the 90s. They've been trying to get rid of violent video games forever, and it's never going to happen outside of just being a country that just bans video games overall, or like maybe M-rated video games. But even if they did that, it doesn't matter because there's no correlation between mass shootings or violence and the video games that you play. There's so many, countless stacks of data and statistics and research that prove that video games are not the cause of violence. Just as a personal example, I'm only one guy, but I've been playing video games my entire life. Not a violent person. Outside of being drunk and getting into fights, I've never been in a fight in my life. It's just not something I care about, much less a mass shooting. And if you're currently watching this video, it means you're probably a video gamer, either because you're subscribed to me or just found this video or it came up in your suggested, whatever the case. Like 99% certain you're watching this video, you play video games. You probably don't have a very violent past or history, or definitely not a mass shooter, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. That's not to say that in some of these cases, these people haven't been influenced by violent video games. There's a good chance they're playing some Grand Theft Auto, going on a killing spree, and like, you know what? I want to do that in real life. It's entirely possible. But as a blanket thing, that's the reason for all violence, is just not true. But it easily could have been like a violent movie they watched. I'm not trying to say that we should ban violent movies, but you just don't know what the motivation is entirely, unless they tell you themselves with something they wrote down, or a video they recorded prior to doing it. Who knows? Like, unless they tell you their actual motivations or what the reason is for it, we won't really ever know. A lot of people get upset or triggered whenever they blame mental illness for like these mass shootings that happen. But the thing is, I'm kind of in agreement with that. Like, there's got to be something wrong in your mind, right? Like in your brain, there's got to be some sort of chemical imbalance, something that's got you fucked up to be somebody who's willing to go out in public and just start murdering people. Like, there has to be some sort of mental illness. I don't know if it boils down to a single certain mental illness or a multitude of other ones. I don't know, but there's got to be something messed up in your head to be able to do something like that. Like, you're going into that situation knowing that you're about to kill multiple people, injure multiple people, and probably die in the process, so you gotta have something wrong in your head. I know people probably get upset because the term mental illness is kind of like boxes all the mental illnesses together, and that's where people probably get upset or whatever, but the point is, there's gotta be something wrong in that person's head to go out and do something like that. As I kind of touched on previously, there's not really an answer here. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of laws are in place. People are going to get their hands on whatever they want to do whatever they want. If somebody wants to get a gun, go out in public and kill people, they're going to do it regardless of the gun laws or how strict they are or how loose they are. They're going to do that regardless. The only possible way that you could stop this is to detect it early, but there's no real way to do that outside of the person just straight up, like, announcing that they're going to do a public shooting, right? Like, unless they post on Facebook saying, I'm going to be here on this day to kill a bunch of people. Like, I don't know how else you're going to do it. Outside of detecting it early and stopping the person before they do it, that's like the only way, and that's not even really a possible thing. It's not feasible. When it comes to stuff like this, the law does not matter. It doesn't matter how strict and how hard it'd be to obtain a gun in America. You could still go just buy a gun from somebody who owns multiple guns, right? You could just go to a shady neighborhood, offer some guy a couple $100 for a gun. It's very simple to get your hands on a gun if you wanted to. There's just no preventative measure. Drugs have been illegal for how long now, but people still smoke crack. It's illegal to assault another person, but people still fight each other like every single day. There's just no way to stop it. That's just a fact of the situation. They've tried to make video games the scapegoat for a long time, but it's scientifically proven, like I said before. Like, there's no correlation between violence and video games. Maybe in some cases, right? Again, people can be influenced by anything. There could be that one kid who played Manhunt and was like, you know what, I'm going to kill a guy. But if video games were the cause of mass shootings, that stuff would happen a lot more. It does happen a lot, obviously, in America. It's kind of like a meme that the mass shootings happen here. But the point is, if you're talking about hundreds of millions of people in the world, if not in the billions, that play video games, man, it'd be so much more. There'd be such a higher number if video games were the cause. If violence in media, be it movies or video games, were the cause of public shootings, mass shootings, or whatever the case, it'd be such a higher number that actually happens. We have maybe less than 100 a year usually, which is still a lot. But if you're talking about, video games are the cause of mass shootings, and there being hundreds of millions, if not billions of people in the world that play video games, there'd be so much more, like tens of thousands a year or something. It'd be an insane number. I know this video is super obvious to the people that are watching. Again, if you're watching this video, you probably play video games and you're aware that they don't cause violence because you're not out there just fighting people every day, stabbing people, killing people. You just don't do that, right? Because video games are not the cause. When it comes to mass shootings, there's generally a motivation, not in every single case. Sometimes people just want to kill people, but it might be like some racial issues. It could be political stuff. Sometimes it's like a kid that goes into a school and shoots a bunch of kids because he's being bullied. Like, there's some motivation. People don't just play a video game like, oh my god, I gotta replicate that IRL. Anyways, but dude, that's pretty much the video. I just felt like talking about this today. I was going to make a different video, but I kept seeing headlines and people talking about it. I was like, man, I got to give my take on it. I wanted to discuss this, and of course it pertains to us because most of us are video gamers. Normally at the end of my videos, I try to ask some sort of a question, but what do I even ask here? Like, there's no point asking, hey guys, do you think video games cause violence? Because I think most of you, like the majority of you, like 99.9% of you, would say no. But I suppose, as always, just leave your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on this whole situation? Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and want to stay up to date with more video game content. Turn on my notifications. Follow me on Twitter at @TheDashingDavid and my Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Give me a smile.